A warm morning to you all. This is Education Sector Television International, ESTV, and the program is One Citizen of Greater Values. This morning, I am with a brand, a respectable brand in the education sector, somebody I would call an icon, a woman that has contributed so much to the education sector, using Christianity, morals to train our children. I am referring to my guest, my mommy Adun, Akinyemiju, founder, Dancehall High School. Good morning, ma.
Good morning.
Good
Thanks
to
for
see
having
you
me.
again.
I'm glad to be here.
Thank you, mommy. Who is mommy Adun Akinyemiju?
Yes, Adun in full. Adun Akinyemiju. Born maybe 75 years ago, let me say that, in Iloluchi, Ondo State.
Okay.
And I grew up in Iloluchi, had my primary school in Iloluchi. Went to St. Louis, Ondo. We just had our 70th anniversary.
Yes, I saw
Wonderful
that.
school. Yes. 5 years, and then A level, what we call high school certificate in St. Anne's in Ibadan. So 7 years of secondary school, and then University of Ife, 3 years, and then 1 year in University of Strathclyde for postgraduate in secretarial and administrative studies, and then started to work in University of Ife. To make it fast, Bayero University, all in administration, and then Joint Admissions and Matriculations Board. Before, I also worked 1.5 years in Atlantic Road Education Trust Council as administrator before I started Dancehall Tutorial Center and then founded Dancehall High School. The Tutorial Center started in 1993, and then the high school started in 1995. That's briefly my journey.
Okay. So you've been in the education sector for how many years?
I think since I left university, 72, because I started administration in the university. So it was all about university administration and then secondary school administration. So university administration, if I'm to start with 1972, July, and then down the University of Ife, Bayero University, and Joint Admissions and Matriculations, but all about administering higher education, and then moved to secondary education with Atlantic Board, and then Dancehall. So put together, I would say from 72 to now.
Well over 40 years.
Yes.
Congratulations, man.
Thank you so
And
much.
you are still working stronger.
Thank you.
Why the choice of education?
I wouldn't say I chose education.
Okay.
I didn't choose it. I found myself in it, to be honest, because I always tell people, in those days we really didn't have counsel. We didn't have counselors in high school, we didn't have counselors. So I found myself, after A levels, after the HSC, you had to work for 9 months. So I did subjects in science, finished in December 1967, right? No, 68. And then, when you finish and you want to work, December 68 in St. Anne's, then you work for 9 months because university would start in September 69.
Okay.
So, seeking for admission because there was no counsel. So my uncle who worked, I worked with him in the Institute of Agric Research and Trade, at the Cocoa Research Institute of Nigeria,
Okay.
in your state, yes, in January. And then the next thing was to go in the line he went. They just took me to the Faculty of Agriculture because that was where I got admission, University of Ife. So I did a second upper, the one that tell me to do a research. I just didn't feel I wanted to continue that field. But someone that had a second upper, a good degree, that's what they would want for you. But because I wanted to work because of my siblings, I needed to help.
Okay.
Let me be honest with that. So I was put in the Faculty of Agriculture as an administrator. We started with what we call administrative officer or administrative assistant, but then with the postgraduate diploma in secretarial study, I became an administrative secretary. You could take notes on all minutes, take notes in meetings of council, loads of things, Senate. That was what we were prepared for. And that's why I went for that course at the University of Strathclyde. So I got back. But then that was at the University of Ife. But then I got married 74 November and then moved to Ibadan. That's where my husband was. And then they transferred me to the what they call the Institute of Agric Research and Training, which was a part of the University of Ife. And so I was administrative secretary for Institute, working directly with the director of the institute, because it was a research institute of the University of Ife. So it was a good combination, someone that had an agricultural degree background and the secretarial background. But again, marriage took me to Kano. My husband moved to Kano as he was working with the pharmaceutical company. So I was moved, I then got a job with Bayero University, Kano. Again, still midstream administration within the university.
So how did you now divert into the midstream of education?
That's what all of it was when I got to JAM. Because I spent 5 years in Kano, came back into Lagos, came to the south. I now found myself, I got transferred to the Joint Admissions and Matriculations Board. That was it. Because I then had a burden for young people. Because working in JAM, you would see children who come in for admission. They either didn't make it with their A levels or didn't meet the cut-off mark. Parents are crying, children are crying, and I'm crying. And you just want to help. So that gave me the burden of what do you do? That was when the burden of the tutorial center came to start with, because they need to remedy what they were going to do, either to remedy the not A levels, but to remedy the scores in the matriculation exam or the West African School Certificate. And that was what started it. But then I had a gap. I had an early retirement from civil service. I retired at 45. Left what I call the public service. Left JAM. I retired at 45, joined the Atlantic Education Trust Council as the administrator. So that was what happened. And so with the Atlantic Hall, I had a bit of how to administer in education. The burden still continued. I was writing a few things down on how one could help children. But when I didn't stay too long in Atlantic Hall, I continued with my writings and proposals on how to help children, young people in particular. And then I started the tutorial center in 1993. I was with them 91 to 92. Started tutorial center in 1993 February.
Trying to solve their problems?
Yeah, the way it happened, we just opened a place where we had simple chairs where they would come in, teachers on part-time, few on full-time, that would teach those subjects and prepare them for school certificate or prepare them for the next year of the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board exam called the UME at that time. Now it's called the UTME. The university's tertiary matriculation exam. Then it was just a unified or university's matriculation exam. Now it includes the colleges of education and the polytechnics. Then it was just a university's exam that we worked for.
Then how does this transform to a full-fledged primary and secondary school?
Okay, thank you. So, yes. So the dancehall vision came through the tutorial center, like I said. Dancehall stands, like I said, because I put Christianity with everything, and that's what happened. The dancehall vision is about raising young men and women, young boys and girls who will stand out and make a godly difference, who will know God. So we add Christianity with academics. Now what happened with the young boys and girls that came into dancehall tutorial center was this. Academics, yes, but we were praying for them and praying with them that they would know the Lord. But then academically you find out that children that came in with the wrong attitude, so with counseling, with preaching, with encouraging them to work hard and really understand who their God is and their God-given potentials, they came out different. Academically, they succeeded, but they came out different. You would see the difference in them. And so that really encouraged me to discuss with my husband about the next level, which was the secondary school. To be honest, the main thing for me was the young boys and girls, which was the secondary level.
Okay.
So 10 years, I was still running the secondary school. But there was a stage where government said we needed to do the 633. That was why I started the private school. It really wasn't the main thing for me. But now, I see it as a foundation, a good foundation, which is working and it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's good. So, was there any particular moment along the line in your career that I would say, oh God, I really thank you for coming into this career, education, or otherwise?
Now I would say I'm grateful to God I came into this. I remember when we were planning to get married, my husband said, well, what about doing a degree in education or maybe a postgraduate? I said no. But now I see why. And maybe God was speaking to him to draw me into what plan he had for me. I want to believe that God had this plan for me, but I didn't start it in time. But he's faithful and he's faithful. Because in his faithfulness, he brought me to this. So looking back now, I see that it's his hand drawing me into his counsel for my life. And what gives me joy is this. I hear from the alumni. I hear from parents. I see them also. My child is doing well. My child knows the Lord. My child loves the Lord. Through this school, what we do, and when we had the tutorial center, we stopped the dance tutorial center because people were looking for shortcuts, and we don't do shortcuts. So I stopped it. I still go back to it if there are enough people that would want to do it our way. Our way is a straight way. So my joy is in the fact that the children that come to this school, to the dance high school, and also 10 years later the primary school, they are led to know the Lord. And academically they are strong, spiritually they are strong. So it's a combination of academic strength and spiritual strength, bringing about that child that will go out as what we say in dancehall, a Daniel. It's a vision of raising Daniels, raising children that will be strong, that will be leaders, because there was a leadership quality in Daniel. He reigned for 3 generations. That's what we do here. And I'm glad we're doing it.
Thank you, ma'am. Mommy, I would like you to emphasize on the success story of Dancehall High School. What are your success stories?
Okay. Number 1, the children. The children, what I call success is, yes, academic strength. That is, they go out, they go into universities, and they are able to raise their heads. Now, children graduate from some schools and they need help because they were helped. Here we tell them you are on your own with God, you are with God, and so we teach them, and so they graduate, and whatever grades they make, using the language of children here in Dancehall, whatever grade we get here, we know it's God that helped us to get those grades, and we're proud of it. So they are able to raise their heads up in all professions, in the media, in the medical, in ICT, all over the world. I mean, the testimonies are real. The testimonies of dancehall children, they are real, that they are standing up. I met a girl in a hospital in Korea about a month ago, and she said, I'm from dancehall. Because there are many now, I used to be able to recognize every child, not any longer.
That's another success story.
Yes, there are so many.
Yes.
I said, I'm a doctor here. And I graduated in 2010. I said, whenever I hear that, are you standing up? Because she says yes. Those are the things, that is academically, professionally, and spiritually. Are you standing up? Yes, I am. The Lord is helping me. So that's my success. Number 2, our teachers who pass through us, they come to know the Lord stronger, better, and we train them. So when they leave here, whether they work in other schools in Nigeria or outside, they're telling me, I'm glad I went through dancehall. It's a great success. Even when they leave to set up their schools, I'm proud to go to their schools. I say they're replicating that, so that's why I look at it.
Have you experienced one?
Oh, three.
Three.
Yeah, my teachers have schools and I visit them. I go to speak in their occasions. That's success for me. And then the teachers who go out, they're doing well, they're doing better in the professions that they have. That's success for me. Another level of success is the fact that God used me to start the Association of Christian Schools International, ACSI in Nigeria. And that's an association that gathers Christian schools and we begin to train people how to run Christian schools. And I did that for 10 years and then handed over to someone else who's now the director. And then I was also chairperson for Africa, ACSI Africa, for some years also. I just ended the term in August 2023. That's success because I affected other schools in Nigeria and Africa, and there are testimonies to the fact that our schools are running better because we have a more solid understanding, a better understanding of what it is to run a Christian school. Because it's not you say you are running a Christian school and you don't understand what it is just because it's run by a Christian or a church doesn't make it a Christian school. Not necessarily. There are things, basic issues that have to be put in place for it to be Christian school.
What are these basic things, ma'am?
Okay. Number one, if you're going to run a Christian school, it's got to be for the purpose of raising disciples, followers of Jesus. That's what Christian education is. That is children that will have the mind of Christ, children that will come out and say, I belong to Jesus. I'm not going to do it the way of the world. So if your vision and mission are not geared towards that, and then it's not a Christian school. So if it's going to be Christian school, you're going to make it known. Your vision has to be clear and known to children, known to staff, known to parents, and anyone from the onset. And continually, it's not made known, but you have to keep saying it, keep explaining it, and it resonates. Then secondly, you've got to be ready to train and train and train. Now, your staff must be Christian. If you say you're going to run a Christian school, intellectual development is key. You can say you are running a school or a Christian school for that matter, and you are not getting them to reason. Students must be able to reason in line with the will of God. So if you are teaching biology, you must be able to see God in biology, in social studies, in ICT, in everything that you do. Intellectually, they must be able to reason. That's the essence. Now, you also operational integrity. Integrity, if it's not in a setting that is Christian, is not Christian. To be honest, there's no religion that encourages stealing. None. Which God? I tell people, I ask that question. So there is no way you are going to say you are running a Christian school when you are cheating in exams. I call it stealing. And then that also is destroying children. It's destruction of children. And parents have a lot to do with this, but here in Danso, for instance, we want to partner with parents. We encourage them to understand this is the path we're going since you come to go to agree with us. So it's parents that can't do it, that take their children into other places where they cheat and and steal. So those are the features.
Okay, that's
some of them.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. That now brings my next question into the issue of malpractices.
Yes.
It is a big challenge.
It is big.
In Nigeria
It is big.
How do you fight it here?
Okay. Here, because it's laid down as principle.
And parents are highly interested.
Yes, they are, but they know what we do. They know what we stand for.
Okay.
So within the school system here, you can't cheat.
Okay.
So unfortunately, some of the exams they conduct outside. That's what people do all over there. So, but within here, you can't cheat. As the Association of Christian Teachers and Schools, we started many years ago. We had campaigns. Then HCSI, and as a school, we had this campaign. We went to some TV houses where we had campaigns, say no to exam malpractice. It is destructive. It destroys children, unfortunately. And I make bold to say to people that a lot of the vices we have in this nation stems from this evil. I can say whether you talk Yahoo, whether you talk 419, whether you talk children robbery, juvenile armed robbery, it stems from this, and I'll explain why.
Okay.
A child has a brain. What we do in the school is to develop their intellect, to study. And they have the ability. Every child has a brain. You got to allow them to use it, and it doesn't matter what level or what method you are using. So the methods are changing. But when you don't allow them to study, that's why you see people able to do things with the phone, with the SIM, to steal, because they've not been educated in the right way. Education isn't just the books. The morals go with it, and there's this thing about the University of which I went there said that their motto is, I can't remember, but there's something that they used to say that you went to the university, but the university did not go through you.
Yes.
So a school or the education is not just the books. Education, even government schools in those days when we were going through school, they will have lessons on morals, they will have the Bible, and if it is the Quran,
Yes.
they would have all of those. We need to get them back. We need to get them back.
But
we need to get
really
them back.
tell me, are you winning the battle? On examination malpractices, are you winning the battle?
No,
Okay.
right now, no.
Okay.
But within my school system, within my school, we are. But this is one school, and then within the Christian schools, as many as want to do it, I believe they are winning. But it's just a drop in the ocean.
It's a big one.
It's a big one. It's a battle, but we will win. God is going to help us.
I praise
Parents and those who are doing it need to understand that they are destroying destinies. They are destroying God's heritage. And what I say is, people are giving terrible examples to children, and God is not happy with it. This is my stance. If anybody is giving bad example, then God is against the person.
And the painful aspect of it is that the parents are supportive.
The parents are supportive, the principals and school owners, some of them are supportive, not all. But then the majority, I'm sorry.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
Mommy, let's go to the curriculum of our schools. Looking at the primary and the secondary education in Nigeria today. Are you happy with the curriculum? Will the curriculum bring food to the table of our children in future?
Well, I was talking to someone earlier on today about this curriculum issue. The curriculum, the way it is,
Maybe
people
we should
say-
take them from the primary education then to the secondary
okay, the primary education
curriculum.
the way it is changing. Even the secondary school one is changing.
Okay.
It's changing to the extent that we're making children are now being made to think and to reason.
Okay.
Better than before, when it was just learning, just learn it and pass the exam. So it's becoming more of applied to the extent that they can reason and they can do certain things with it. I'm seeing a new trend in things. Now, the curriculum, if it's, we're talking about 5-10 years ago, I would say no, that things were really bad. But it's getting better. The
No.
trend is, and there's still a lot of work going on with it. There is some fears. If we have time, we might talk about that. Some fears about injecting what should not be injected into the curriculum when it comes to sex education and all of that. But when it comes to the mainstream of studying, things I think are getting better. Even when you talk about English, mathematics, literature, things are getting better. Children are now being encouraged to reason. But where the problem is, it's not the curriculum. The problem is with the practice, the skill, the classroom work. where children are not taught. It's at that level that we have the challenge. It's the curriculum, the way it is, like I said, up until 5, 6, 10 years ago, was archaic, was the way, and things like that, was no longer relevant. But I want to believe that there's a lot of work going on now, making it more relevant, more applicable, and all of that. And you talk about, the question is, will it bring food to the table? Yeah. Now, there are also areas in the private schools, I don't know about the government schools, where children are being taught to develop their skills. There's skills acquisition, a lot of that going on in private school education, so that children would identify early what their skills are and how they will identify. Technology is being encouraged a lot at the level of the secondary school and the primary school. But I want to say this is at the private school level. I really don't know what is going on in public schools. Okay. Let me be honest with you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you think this change in curriculum will reduce unemployment rates in Nigeria?
Unemployment.
Yes, a lot of our undergraduates out there.
Yeah, but we are now talking about tertiary.
Yes, tertiary.
Tertiary,
they move from secondary to tertiary. Some of them will move to tertiary.
Yeah.
Some of them will veer looking for one thing or the other to acquire skills and to move on in life. Yes. Even then, those that have gone through the tertiary education, they are on the streets looking for a job.
Yeah, that's where, again, the tertiary level of education, maybe we need to have some cohesion between all universities, all, either they're federal or state or private.
I think that effort is in place now.
Okay.
But even then,
the population is high.
Okay.
And the population is young. So for the nation to acquire what you are asking about, we've got to take into consideration maybe changing the level of education, the curriculum at that university level, making it more practical, making it more of the way that you can acquire skills that will make you self-employed. Entrepreneurship is on in some universities.
Because it's part of what the federal government
is talking about.
Yes.
Then I don't know to what extent agriculture is going at the university level, but it's an area that is being noised now that people need to get into. So that, and to be honest, the kind of agriculture that is going on is not where you need all of the land or some small land where you can also do things. Between technology and agriculture, I see a lot going on, and a lot that will make these young people self-employed when they leave. Technology is also on its own on an area that will get people more self-employed. But my concern is that the nation has a very large population and a population of young people. And to be honest, I really don't know what we can do to make them employable and then get them employed.
You do know what we can do. So that's another area of research on its own.
It is.
That's the stakeholders in the education sector need
not
to
just
look
education, but government. Because that's Ministry of, the Labour and Employment, Ministry of, other ministries, youth and development.
Okay.
Okay. There are also, now that I talked about youth and youth development and all that, sports is another area where schools are looking into. In the past, many years ago, if a child said he was going to go into sports, people would say no. But now it's being developed. We are strong on sports, basketball in particular here, and we encourage our children to go into sports, into that area where they can, of course it's in partnership with parents who decide but again, there are few. How many want to go into sports? Not many of them want to go into sports.
Entertainment is another area.
That's another area.
Fancy.
It is. But again, parents are a bit worried about it. But we encourage it. As long as you are going into sports or in entertainment, but you are in the Lord. That's the way we encourage. When as students get into final year, we do a project which we call Disciples for Life. We raise them into professions. And so every week I meet with them and some other staff, and we're saying, okay, when you get into media, well, how are you going to stand? So they do a project, joint, all of those ones that will be in media, those who are going to be in agriculture, those who are going to be in medical, and in medical we break it a little bit. So how are you going to stand as a disciple in medical? How are you going to stand as a disciple in media? And they tell us, they make a presentation and we ask questions. And that again is an encouragement for me to see that these ones are ready to go into the world to stand for God in media, in sports, in entertainment, none of the things in aviation. We encourage them to go into all of this. But that's why I'm saying that when it comes to private education, it's more encouraging. You see that there's a future. But in the other area in general, that's why I'm saying I really don't. I'm not going to be saying what I don't know.
Thank you, Ma. As a powerful stakeholder in the education sector, what would you like to tell the newly appointed Minister for Education in Nigeria? The priority, the cogent things that he needs to look into.
My number one is this area of exam malpractice.
Okay.
It's my number one. As a matter of fact, there's an area that is connected with that. Those who left secondary school in the last 20 years, is it possible to ask them? Maybe we do. My father used to be a director for adult education back then as a child. I saw him. Is it possible to get into what we call a Department of Adult Education, not just on paper, but in the reality? It's a terrible thing.
I believe our ministries of education have adult education.
That's why I said not on paper. In reality.
Yes, they have the physical classes. Yeah, in Lagos. Yeah, in Lagos.
Okay. Lagos State is different.
Oh, okay.
Lagos State, I mean, if you talk about Lagos State, Lagos State has so many things that other states don't have. But having said that, Lagos State and all states, and at the federal level, bringing it down at the National Council, maybe they need to look into this thing that I'm talking about. It's a serious issue.
Adult education.
Adult education that will take care of all the people that went through school, got a certificate. I can show you certificates of people who have seen education that cannot write English. So if there's a campaign on it to say you went through school, you did not, and these are the reasons we have all the devices we have. They can't read and write. So even if they want to go into entrepreneurship, they want to set up business, how are they going to do it? A lot of people are driving, they can't understand the road signs. They don't know what it says, slow, this, or what the signs mean. That's challenges in this country because of this thing.
So the next one, will you like to tell me? The next point?
Oh, about the advice.
The minister.
It's about the facilities in schools.
Teaching and learning facilities.
Yes.
In private schools or both
Not
private
private
and public
schools.
schools?
I'm talking about the minister. It's going to be the public schools.
Even some private schools haven't got the teaching and learning facilities.
Well, I don't know about that, but it's every state that approves a school must ensure that the facilities are there. So there is a supervision. Again, Lagos State, I believe, stands different from others. But every state should ensure that any school they approve has facilities and they are supervising. Because in Lagos State, they supervise us. They come around. They want to
the
see
quality
that.
assurance.
Yes, they do all that. So if every state will do that for private, but for public schools, a lot of them have no facilities and then teachers. Then training of teachers, training the training, always training teachers. Because again, we were talking about the curriculum and all of that. If we update and all that, we would need to ensure that teachers are retrained. We're talking, I read that WAEC, the West African Exam Council, wants to do CBT exams. So it's going to take teachers to train them, right? Teachers have to train on CBT, computer-based tests.
Yes.
Teachers have to be trained. How? They have to be trained. So that means the facilities must be provided, electricity must be provided. Somehow, maybe through solar, whatever. It's going to be a whole lot of cost, but it really, and there has to be a kind of relationship, synergy. There's a flow between the exam boards and the federal and state ministries of education. There has to be an agreement, and of course homes.
Okay. Yeah. So teachers have to be retrained.
Oh yes,
training.
yes. We can't do it in isolation.
Okay. Could that be all money?
Our
minister is willing to listen to you.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
I've talked about.
You've talked
my
about
number one
it
in
was
the
exam practices.
how it can be, if they can be stopped.
Yeah,
But when I was talking about it, I was talking about if they can retrain maybe adult education centers
Yes.
that will take care of those ones.
Yeah.
And then how the issue can be stopped, how they can link up with the exam bodies to really deal with this issue, because it's really destroying education, it's destroying lives. That it's terrible. Then I talked about facilities, I talked about teachers.
Okay. In what manner?
Training and retraining.
Okay.
Training and retraining of teachers when it comes to education. I think those are my major points.
Yes, I've been with Mommy Adun Akinyemiju of Dancer in the past 30-45 minutes. And before I say thank you for the day, Mommy, I would like to ask you, what is your message to our youths in this society? They are getting larger in number by the day. What do you have to tell them?
Thank you so much. Our youths must have their personal vision for life. If every child has a vision for life, that this is I always say to people, God has a plan for your life. So you need to align with the plan of God for your life. His thoughts towards you, they are thoughts of good, they are not of evil. So you don't want to push yourself out of the will of God into something else. Personal vision. And then be dogged, be focused on that personal vision. So part of the vision for life is that you are educated.
Okay.
Sometimes people are saying, oh, I have no finance. Finance is not it's not the major thing. When you are determined, you will find someone that will support.
Okay. You do your research.
Someone will be out to help you. There are scholarships, there are facilities, you just be focused and be determined that you want to study in life, you want to make good things with your life, do good things with your life, and just let your head be lifted. I know that there are challenges. Life is no longer the way it used to be. I'm 75, but I'm not talking about my age. Even for those who are 50, what we have now is not what they had. I know it's not easy. The universities, federal and state, are no longer what they used to be. I know, but I'm encouraging every child out there to just be dogged, to just be focused and be determined that yes, whatever it may cost, I'm going to be educated. I'm going to also not be distracted. I know a lot is going on social media. And things that are going on social media are false. I call them false. They're deceptive in the sense that you want to be like those people that are social media those who dictate the pace on social media. They are not the pace. The pace is what you have set for yourself in line with the will of God. So don't want to be like them and don't want to get rich quick. This get rich quick syndrome it is destructive as well. So I want to ask that young people should stay and just wait for their time. Take it easy. The pace is too high. The pace is too high.
Thank you so much, ma. Mommy, my last question. How do you unwind?
Now these days when I take my walk, I spend time with my grandchildren, run around together. Those are just for now what I do to unwind. Yes.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. I feel honored, ma. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.